Chapter 1. The First Rewrite. Detective Lena Harrow knew coincidence had its limits. When a body was discovered matching every chilling detail of the latest novel by renowned author Graham Vexley, she felt an immediate pull in her gut. Something was wrong. The crime scene mirrored his words too perfectly, down to the placement of the victim's body and the unique weapon used. Lena was thorough. She scoured the manuscript and the case files side by side, looking for discrepancies. But every time she thought she had something, a subtle mismatch, a clue that should have pointed directly at Vexley, it changed. Reports she swore she had read were different upon a second glance. She flipped through the manuscript, only to find key passages altered, as though she had imagined the original details. She convinced herself it was exhaustion, paranoia. But then the inconsistencies grew. A witness statement she remembered had shifted, his recollection altered overnight. Surveillance footage that should have placed Vexley near the crime scene now showed him somewhere else, far from suspicion. Each time she gathered proof, it slipped through her fingers. Lena had investigated hundreds of cases before. She understood forensics, human behavior, the way guilt manifested in the smallest gestures. And Vexley felt guilty. Not overtly, not in the way criminals usually did. But there was something about him, the way his eyes lingered on her during the interview, the controlled cadence of his voice, the smirk that seemed too measured. Then came the moment that changed everything. As she sat in her office, flipping through notes she had written herself, one phrase made her blood run cold. The crime scene shifted, just as his words did. Had she written that? Lena didn't remember, but there it was, in her own handwriting. The realization sent a shiver up her spine. Vexley wasn't just predicting murders, he was rewriting reality itself. Chapter 2. The Pattern Emerges. Detective Lena Harrow wasn't superstitious. She believed in logic, patterns, the irrefutable weight of evidence. But whatever was happening with Elliot Grange, whatever he was doing, was impossible to explain in any rational way. And yet the deaths kept coming. She stood at another crime scene, staring at the blood-soaked alleyway where the latest victim had been found. A grim familiarity clawed at her. She had read this before, hadn't she? Somewhere in the depths of Elliot Grange manuscript. She checked the document again. Her hands tightened into fists. The chapter she had read 2 nights ago was different now. The details had shifted, ever so slightly. Before, the victim had been stabbed. Now, in his manuscript, the victim had been shot. And somehow, the body before her perfectly matched the new version of Elliot Grange writing. Lena sucked in a breath. Someone was playing games with reality itself. No, rewriting it. She tested herself. She wrote down what she knew to be true, scenes, dates, names, and returned hours later. Every time, small adjustments had taken root in the pages. Events she had documented were subtly different. Not enough for the world to notice, but enough that Lena felt the cracks deepening. It was like chasing smoke. Her mind raced through possibilities. Was Elliot Grange predicting the crimes? Was someone orchestrating murders based on his writing? But the truth felt worse, and it solidified when she questioned his alibi again. For the 3rd time that week, Graham Vexley gave her the same eerie smirk, the same practiced patience. And yet, his words, the exact phrasing of his recollection, were different, as though he had rewritten his own actions before she arrived. Lena narrowed her eyes. Elliot Grange wasn't just a man with alibis. He was a man rewriting the story of the world. And now she had proof she knew was real. If only she could hold on to it before it changed again.
Chapter 3. The Impossible Crime Scene. Detective Lena Harrow had seen plenty of horrors in her career, blood-soaked alleys, crime scenes that spoke of cruelty beyond comprehension. But this was something different. This crime wasn't just gruesome, it was impossible. Standing at the scene, she felt something gnawing at the edges of her consciousness, a whisper of something wrong. It wasn't just that the case matched Elliot Grange's latest manuscript. It was that she had already read a different version of this scene. Her throat was dry. She had seen the original draft with details that now no longer existed. She remembered them clearly, the angle of the victim's body, the murder weapon, the time of death. But here, in the present, in front of her eyes, those details had changed. She checked her notes. Every page mocked her. The crime scene descriptions matched reality perfectly. No discrepancies, no errors. But she knew that something had shifted. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't coincidence. Grange had rewritten the truth. Again. Her thoughts raced. What if he knows I'm on to him? What if he's watching, altering details in real time? What if reality itself is slipping like sand through my fingers? Her pulse pounded in her ears. If she couldn't trust her own memory, then who could? This wasn't just a case anymore. It was a war against the fabric of reality itself. And the terrifying part? Lena wasn't sure she was winning. Chapter 4. The Turning Point. Detective Lena Harrow pressed the blank page toward Elliot Grange, watching him with the intensity of someone studying a predator in its natural habitat. He smirked, his usual self-satisfied expression. But something was off this time. His fingers hesitated over the pen. Not long, just a fraction of a second. Enough for Lena to catch it. "Afraid this one won't come true?" she asked, voice measured. "No," Vexley said, picking up the pen. Except, it was strange. She could have sworn the pen had been black a moment ago, and now, in his hand, it was blue. Lena froze, her pulse spiking. Had she misremembered? She glanced at the table. Her own notes were in front of her, neatly stacked. But the top page, the one where she had jotted down his alibi earlier, had changed. The ink was different. The words were different. April 17th, 10:13 p.m. Except she knew she had written April 16th. Her stomach tightened. Elliot Grange wasn't just rewriting events. He was rewriting them in real time. She forced herself to stay calm, though the air around her felt heavier. He had already written the first line. His fingers moved smoothly, elegantly, crafting a world Lena knew would soon exist. But this time, she wasn't just watching. This time, she was feeling it. Reality was shifting around her, right in front of her eyes. Lena clenched her jaw, her heartbeat loud in her ears. She had to hold on to something concrete. Because if she didn't, if she lost track of what was real, then Grange had already won, and she was done playing by his rules. Chapter 5. The Endgame Detective. Lena Harrow had spent weeks unraveling the impossible, watching reality bend, seeing evidence vanish, and feeling her own memories shift under Grange's control. But now, the moment had arrived. This was it, the final move. Grange's hand hovered over the page, his pen poised to write. Lena saw it. The hesitation, the subtle crack in his confidence. He knew this was different. He knew she wasn't just another observer anymore. She was his opponent now. And in a game where reality itself could be rewritten, only one truth could survive. Grange smirked, the pen pressing onto the paper. A detective stands before a man, watching his fate unfold in ink. She believes she's won, but in just a few sentences she'll forget why she was here at all. Lena's breath caught. She felt it immediately, the tug, the pull, the invisible shift in the air. The world was already rearranging itself, bending to his words. No, not this time. She slammed her hand onto the page, gripping the paper tight. "Stop!" Vexley chuckled. "That's not how this works." But Lena had planned for this moment. Every detail, every possibility. If reality was governed by words, then she needed another writer, someone whose story could override his. She had written her own ending. With one swift motion, she pulled out her own page, the one she had kept hidden, locked away in a place he couldn't touch. A story crafted by her own hand, untouched by his revisions. It read, "The writer believes he is in control, but for the first time, his words fail him. His rewrite does not take hold. The detective remembers everything. She knows exactly what happens next. The moment Grange's eyes landed on the words, Lena saw it. His expression shifted. His smirk faded. Because this time, his power didn't work. This time, he wasn't the one telling the story anymore.